after a while, like, you start waking up and wondering, like, why you didn't die in your sleep. And it just gets, you know, to the point where you're waking up and that's all you can think about is just doing the next drug. And I hated that. I was like 21, 22 when it really started to take off for me. And I didn't want to, like, I didn't want to fit into the world, but I wanted to be a part of the world at the same time. But it was also really hard to just exist. And at that point, I just didn't know how to not, like, drink anymore. My name's Rio. My parents were born and raised in Puerto Rico, and then when my dad was 18, he went into the military, and that's when he moved to the States. My mom moved to the States when she was about 12. And then they met in the Army later on when they were both serving. And the reason I bring that up is because even though Puerto Rico is U.S. territory, I still had very much like a child immigrant experience. I feel like growing up, things were always very different culturally in the home. The expectations were different than my peers at school. I always kind of had to, you know, stay on top of my grades as best as I could, but just like nothing could ever be good enough, really, like growing up. But I always remember feeling like feelings of shame and anger, even though I always tried like my hardest. And I know like I do great at school, but then I'd get into fights with my siblings at home, and if they ever stepped out of line or did anything they weren't supposed to, I usually had to answer for it or make sure that they were staying on top of themselves. So it always kind of put a large like pressure and responsibility for me, like growing up. And I feel like I grew up like really fast, really young. I really struggled in high school. I was doing really well for like the first year, but I struggled to make friends. Struggled with coming to terms with my sexuality at the time. Over the summer before that, I'd figure out that I liked girls too, and it was really frustrating for me. It felt more like a death sentence than a triumph. And I held that secret for over a year until I bursted out crying to my mom, and she wasn't excited for me, but she was supportive and just told me not to tell my dad. I always kind of watched my mom drink growing up. It was just kind of hard, and like watching her barter with us too. Like if you bring me more alcohol, we can watch another movie, like stuff. And it's like setting the stage early, like, all right, like this makes mom happy, and like this is a good thing, and this like stresses out. But I also remember that like when my dad would come home, or she'd hear the garage door, everybody would like pop up. She'd like brush her teeth, like chew gum, like hide the alcohol, hide the bottles. We'd all have to pick up a broom and pretend like we were cleaning or something, so he wouldn't like storm angrily in the house. And I remember I was washing the dishes, my parents were like watching a movie, and my mom had like her wine glass in the sink or whatever, and I like just wanted to feel like I just wanted to feel like I was breaking the law, essentially. Like I just wanted to feel like I was like a fuck you, basically, but like privately. So there was not even that much in the wine glass, but I like tried it like while they were like turned or whatever. And I remember just like, so this is what she likes. This is, you know, this is what adults do. This is really adult. You know, they say I'm an adult. They say because I have a permit or whatever, or because I am the oldest or I'm grown, that they call me an adult, that I should act like an adult and stuff. Like, this is what adults do. And I felt very like, all right, this is what adults do. Like, it was so easy to just drink and pour myself. Like, I remember I wanted to feel like I was like cool or better than any adult I'd seen or whatever. So I made sure like the first like drink I had was like, you know, a glass filled with rum, no chaser or nothing. Like I wanted to feel it, and I wanted to feel like hard. I wanted to feel like I'm the king. Like I'm the one who's like in control now. And it kind of did, you know, make me feel loose. And it was really weird. I started off as like I didn't drink with other people. I like drink alone, like at home, like drinking my parents like liquor. And by that point, I was already like self-harming and stuff since like middle school. And it just kind of like took off a lot after that. Like it became almost like ritualistic. Like I would go in the bathtub and like find whatever I could to like hurt myself with and just, you know, drink and do that. And I would just like check out and be numb. And I don't even know if I felt anything, but like it would definitely like, or at least I thought it was helping me get to my next day, because I just felt so miserable at home all the time. I just felt like I didn't have any friends. I felt like I couldn't talk to my parents. I felt that my sisters got treated better than me. I just felt like scum of the earth like all the time. I had made my mom cry because she was about to go to work, and she was like, when I get back from work, we're gonna go to the beach. And I was like, I can't go to the beach. She's like, yeah, we're going to the beach. She's like, I'm like, no, Mom, like I can't go to the beach. She's like, what do you mean you can't go to the beach? And like, she kind of knew, like after that time, that she knew what was going on. And so she pulled her car back in the driveway. She was like, let me see your arms. And then like, after that, like she was just sobbing uncontrollably, like crying, and she rushes back into the house. And my dad was fucking angry as fuck because I made my mom cry, so he takes a knife to his arm. He's like, is this what you want me to do? Is this what you want? And I'm like crying and telling him like, please, no, I don't want you to do that. And like, so there was a point where, you know, I liked a guy, and then he kind of took advantage of me on his 18th birthday. He sent his friends out the room and locked the door, and then forced me to do some stuff that I didn't want to. And then we went out and hung out with friends after, and he totally like treated me like a ghost, didn't really pay attention to me. It just made me feel like so little, so small, and it just like, it was like almost like the cherry on top, I don't know. In high school, it was really just, you know, well, for the most part, you know, alcohol and weed, when I started smoking weed the summer after sophomore year. But I started getting like severely depressed like my senior year. I was just struggling a lot, and my meds weren't like working, and I would like go on and off with them a lot and stuff too. And I know I went to like a therapy appointment, and my therapist didn't feel like it was safe to like send me home, so I got like involuntarily big-racked from the office. I got put into handcuffs in my therapy office, and they're like, yeah, your mom's on board with this too, and everybody's on board. I'm like, what do you mean? And I'm trying to look for an exit, and there's obviously no exit. It was so weird. Like I sat in that plastic police car, and I'm like, how did I get here? Like, and I didn't do anything, or I felt like I didn't do anything. Like I went there to share my feelings, and all of a sudden I'm in handcuffs in the back of a car. Like, it's kind of weird. So it just started like my major like distrust too, and like, you know, people and doctors, and you know, I already didn't like trust my parents, and then like now these people are like trying to send me away and take me away too, and I can't even share what I'm like, because I didn't even say I was gonna kill myself that time. So I don't know like what gave it away that I was like so like miserable or whatever. Then after that, in the hospital, they tell you don't flamingo, don't fladoodle with other people or whatever. And I was like, oh, but everybody here is so cool. And like, so I started talking to this older dude who's probably old enough to be my dad, but we like got along while we were in like the psych ward and shit. And I was there for like 2 weeks, you know, you get acquainted. And then I was really naive, and I really had like no boundaries like back then. This guy gets out of the psych ward, and he calls me for a ride, so I go pick him up, and I take him to like, I didn't realize he was like actually like fucking homeless, like in the woods, like living in a tent in the woods, like, and then like, you know, you kind of latch on to people when, you know, you're both going through a tough time. And I know he had like lost his wife in an accident, and he had like lost his child custody or something, and he just had like a lot of trauma, and I felt bad for him and stuff, and I had no idea like the world was so bad, like at that point, like I was just very naive, like, and so I went to like visit him or whatever, like before work the next day after picking him up, and he was like really drunk, like in his tent and stuff. And he keeps just like, you know, like grabbing me and stuff, and it just goes further, and I keep telling him that, you know, like I don't want to and stuff, and I kind of just like check out after that, and then I don't know, like I was just a different person like after that, and then I didn't know what to do. I like went straight to work after, like I was just like so, I don't know what I was. I just couldn't think after that. I reported it, you know, the police came and talked to me. They did a little like kid or whatever. And then I told them I didn't feel safe, and then I felt like, you know, I couldn't not be like in the hospital. I needed to be supervised because I didn't trust myself. And so like I voluntarily like big-racked myself like that time. And then they went and arrested the dude, and then I don't know, I get out from that Baker Act like a week later, and then like a week or so after that, I have this big fight at home. Mind you, everything's just piling up. Everything just feels like it's piling up. And at this point, my father already knows I'm smoking weed, and he's in Colombia right now because he's deployed, but he's saying that when he gets back home, I'm out. Like, I cannot be in the house. Like, and mind you, I'm still like in high school and stuff. But like, so there was a lot of like just pressure on me at that time. And then I had one final like big fight with one of my siblings, and I just like felt like I couldn't do it anymore. Like I couldn't like be here anymore. So I like took all the meds that I had. I had to say a goodbye message. So I had to like write like a goodbye letter on like Tumblr when Tumblr was big back then, and like send it out. But I had to like drive to like McDonald's to connect like my phone to the Wi-Fi because my parents always shut the Wi-Fi off. And so like I drove there, and like after I had like taken the pills and stuff, and then it starts like kicking in and shit, and I feel myself like going out, and I just have this moment like in my mind where like oh my God, I don't think I want to die. And so I like called 911 on myself, and that's like the last thing I remember before I passed out. And I know somebody opened my door, like EMS, and I know I was like just throwing up, and I just woke up 2 days later in the ICU, and my mom was sitting next to me, and she was crying, and it was just a really like eye-opening moment in my life, like how fragile life really was and stuff. My drug use kind of started there, around high school, and then it escalated, you know, throughout relationships and stuff. I would date people, and you know, what's better than two addicts doing drugs together, you know? And just get crazier and crazier. It escalated to heroin in my relationship that I was in when I was 19. And like I had done cocaine before, and I had done other drugs, but like there was something about this drug that just like lit me up. Like it finally felt like all the anxiety that I ever had, all the uppityness that I ever had, all the tightness that I ever had, I finally was like able to like chill on a cloud, and I never felt that feeling before. And so, you know, using kind of, I could justify it. Really, I could justify anything that I did because I lived a life bad enough, you know, to be able to do those things, to be able to, you know, cause damage to my body and my health, and wreck relationships in my life. But was the kicker for me, like, I got used to like being basically suicidal for a really long time, and I was used to that mindset. But I know that like as much as I hated myself, I still cared about people, and I still loved people, and I always tried to be helpful any way I could. And I struggled really bad with like I was in and out of church services playing guitar for my local church and stuff in their church band, and I would flee from my commitments all the time. I would never make it on time to practices, or I wouldn't show up at all. There would people be counting on me, you know, my family. I had younger siblings, like, and I was just always so checked out. I was never like present or available, and I was just never there for anybody. It got to be kind of stressful towards the end, always running into trouble, getting pulled over so many times, playing Where's Waldo with my car, my friends playing Where's Waldo with me, me spilling ice cream in my car, waking up in random places that I had no idea how I got there. waking up with no money in my bank account, how did that happen? And, always shit like that. And it was just very chaotic. And that was my life, and that was very normal to me. And, but I drank with some friends one night, and I just said, fuck it. And we got really drunk, and it was like at the beach at night, and we were having a good time. It was just 3 of us. We downed like 3 bottles of wine and a lot of beer and some other mixed drinks. And, like, it really felt like I was having a great time. Like, I wasn't doing anything wrong. Like, I was like, fuck it. I thought I had a problem, but I was like, nah, you know what? I'm just being, a 22-year-old. I'm just being common. I'm just having fun with my friends. Like, there's nothing actually wrong with me. I just, like, can't figure out a way to drink properly, but, like, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just being a normal 22-year-old. But that same night, like, within hours of drinking, I remember, like, trying to leave the beach to go back home. It's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh my God, we're still out here. We're, like, sleeping on the beach. We're, like, going to get arrested and shit. We're out here. So I, like, put my shorts back on. I put my clothes back on. I walk all the way to my car. I get in my car. That's the last thing I remember. And the next thing I remember after that is just waking up with blue lights, like, flashing behind me. And in that moment, I realized, like, I blacked out again. And, like, I just couldn't help myself. Like, it was every time I drank, I blacked out, and I never knew what was going to happen. And the cop came into my window, and he was like, do you know why I stopped you? And I was like, I was probably speeding. And he's like, no. I had to veer off the road into the grass so you wouldn't hit me. And then I did a U-turn to pull you over. And then, like, I was stunned. I was stunned in that moment, because all the other times I've been pulled over by the cops, I'd, like, try to come up with some sort of sob story, try to get out of it. I'm just a girl. Like, please, I'm trying to do something good with my life. And I never got in any, like, major trouble. I had a lot of speeding tickets and stuff, but I never got in any major legal trouble. And in that moment, I knew that I was going to jail. Like, this kind of, like, calm went over me, and I was like, this is it. No more playing games. There's no crying. Like, you did this. You made your bed. Like, you're going to jail tonight. And that's what my brain was telling me. And then the cop was like, all right, well, you can either take a nap on the side of the road, or you can have a friend pick you up. I was like, all right, I'll call a friend. And, like, the only friend I had left was the friend I had just been drinking with. Everybody else had, like, cut me off. Nobody else was there for me. The last time I got pulled over, had me picked up by the police, I had to call my parents, and they had to pick me up and then go get my car and stuff. And it was a whole thing. And, like, I had burned that bridge with them. I wasn't even on terms with them at all. We were estranged. And so I had to call my only drinking buddy to come pick me up. And so he started getting on the way, and the cop left. So I got in my car and I went home, because I didn't want to get pulled over again. You stay on the side of the road too long and they pull you over again. So I get home, not before getting some food at Whataburger, I guess. But the next morning I wake up and I realize that, like, the lights are still on in my room. My mattress is on the ground. I'm fully clothed. I'm wearing all my clothes still. There's a bag of food, the Whataburger, just sitting next to the bed, unopened. I hadn't even touched it. There's sand all over the floor. My room is just a mess, and it's almost like I was seeing the scene from, like, the top of it. It's almost I was, like, looking down into, like, my life, and, like, this is your life. This is who you are. And I just started crying, and I realized that I don't have the capacity to stop. Like, even if I wanted to, I had tried a sober October before that, and, doing it with some friends. I lasted all, like, 6 days, and I wasn't really, really sober. I'd sit in the hot box with my friends and just not hit the blunt, But then in that moment, I realized that, I didn't care about my life, but I could not live with taking somebody else's life. And when I realized that I could have, hurt that cop or injured anybody else, like, that's what scared the hell out of me. Like, I'm not a killer, and I never wanted to hurt anybody like that. So I knew I had to do something different. I just realized that I couldn't do it anymore, and I couldn't do it by myself anymore. So I had to rely on others to help me. And I finally heard that, like, message from God saying, like, I saved you from this. You didn't go to jail. Like, this is your last chance. Like, you cannot drink anymore. It felt very loud and clear. It wasn't like I'm just kidding, or I'm going to try this again. It was like, no, God very clearly said you cannot drink anymore. And that's how it kind of went for me. I didn't go in like happy that I couldn't drink anymore, or happy that, you know, this was gonna be my life. I was like very miserable, feeling like I may never be able to have like a drink again. But I also was just too scared to kill somebody. Like I didn't want to hurt anybody else. I was in bad terms with my family, and I just didn't want to keep going down this road. So as miserable as I was, I just kept hanging out with people who were doing the right thing. So after a while, I just kind of decided that that it was okay for me to let go, and that I didn't have to worry about forever anymore. That I just have to like think about today, and you know, whatever happens tomorrow is tomorrow, and I can deal with that tomorrow. But you know, I've been doing that for over 5 years now, and you know, my life has only been more manageable as the time goes on. It doesn't mean that like my life has like gotten, you know, perfect or it's all sunshine and rainbows all the time, but like I can like deal with shit now that I couldn't deal with before. Like I can face shit now. I can try new things now. Like I can take advice from other people. I can learn things from people, and I can treat others as equals, and I can show up for people now. I can stay at jobs. I can show up on time. Like I help other people today. Like I work in recovery now myself, and it's just been such a blessing to be able to do that, you know, to be able to give it back to people where I can actually say, you know, I've been in your shoes. Like it can get better. You just have to trust the process, man. Like today, like I feel so much younger than I was like when I was 22. Like I thought I was gonna lose so much in my life, and I thought I was gonna be boring and I'd never have fun again. But I actually like have more fun than I have ever like imagined. Like I was able to go on a mission trip to Peru. I've been to Puerto Rico by myself a few times now. Like I got a job in a hospital. I transport meds right now. Somebody lets me transport meds. Like I used to do drugs, and somebody gives me keys to a van so I can transport meds and patients and stuff, and that's like pretty bizarre to me. But it's also like very sweet when you're realizing it all, and you're standing there and you're like, you know, like look where you were a few years ago. Like I remember being 20, working in a psych hospital and having to take breaks in between so I could run out to my car and get a swig or a line real quick. And you know, today I don't have to do that. You're not going to lose your life. You're just going to get 10 more lives, you know. When you don't have to resort on that crutch anymore, you almost feel like you can do anything, and you truly feel like there's a will, there's a way, there's somebody, there's something that will allow you to make that happen. So I think getting sober young was one of the best things it is the best thing I ever did for myself.
Love of mine, someday you will die.